you for calling Call-In Studios host and call screener line. Please enter your show number and press pound. Enter your 6-digit PIN number. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the Call-In Studio web interface show recording us on
Hello, Roberta, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Luke.
Perfect.
Post office mail here.
Okay. Something's wrong with this thing or not.
I didn't do it.
So Kelly, I have Matt in the waiting room. Do you know who that is?
Matt is the project's representative, their architect.
All right. And then I have Janice Graham.
She is a neighbor.
All right. So I will let Matt in, or would you want them to be let in?
I mean, I would think that we could let Matt and the applicant in for the duration, because a lot of times there's back and forth questions, and then when we open public comment, we can let the others in. Hold on, I'm going to call from another neighbor. Hi, this is.
All right.
Hi, David. How are you? Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Sounds good. Well, we will make sure that you're there, and definitely give me a call if you are having more problems. Okay. Thanks, David. Bye. Hey, Luke, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
So it doesn't look like I can get the PowerPoint emailed over to myself so I can run it from my laptop. So I'm going to sign in twice. Is that going to throw you off? If I screen from my work computer, but do audio through the other one?
Yeah, that should work. We'll find
Okay.
out.
Hey, Annette. You can't get on either? You typed in, did you follow the link? Or did you type in the meeting? Okay, I'm trying to follow the link. I went to Zoom and I just typed in the meeting number. And that seemed to work.
Hey, Kelly,
Yes.
this is Roberta. I was just wondering if the video was working. I can't see any screen up here.
I did not start my video.
Oh, there you are. You're on. Okay.
That was my bad.
Okay, let me see if I can get mine to work.
Okay, we're having some technical difficulties with people logging on as well. There you are. I see you.
Okay, well, there's two of us anyway.
All right, I'm trying to run it from two different computers, so we'll see how this goes. Annette, did it work for you? Okay, did you try and just go to open Zoom and then plug in the meeting number?
I'm trying to find the spot where I
Yeah.
was. Only it's forcing to an email address, and it's not very happy with that. So
I had downloaded Zoom. Yes.
okay, allow leave meeting. No, that's not what I want to do.
And Luke, I think we have somebody from the neighborhood calling into the call-in line. Are you managing that one too?
Yeah, I have two callers I just admitted. It's
Okay.
like David Lowe and then Matt, the architect,
Okay.
are both in the meeting now.
Weird. So
Okay.
Annette is trying to log in, and she's gone both by following the link and then by opening Zoom and joining a meeting and typing in the information, and she's not able to get in. You're at work, right, Annette? Yeah, she's at work. I don't know if you can take over her screen, Luke, and help her out.
Yeah, I'll take it from here.
Okay. All right, Luke's gonna help you. All right, and bye.
And this is Dave Lowe, and I'm still trying to log in. At least I'm here on the audio, so I will keep working on this.
All right, Dave, thank you.
Hello.
Whoops. Keep them off the screen.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, hi, Roberta.
Hi.
That's cute.
Kelly, you're not related to Dave Gleason, are
Hello,
you?
hi.
Hi, you're not related to Dave Gleason, are you?
Nope.
Is that Emily saying hello?
It is hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Emily.
Emily.
We don't have your video.
No, I seem to be represented by something of my daughter's at the moment.
It's kind of cute.
Very cute. We'll take it.
I see if I can't, I may have to get her help switching it back. I don't know how she did that.
My son figured out the first week of Zoom classes how to do all sorts of crazy stuff. So,
So has she. All right, let's.
Just a quick question. This is not a planning commission meeting, correct? This is,
yeah, design
Design.
review committee.
so that's before the planning commission, is that correct? Or
Yeah,
if it meets all the criteria, it won't have to go to planning?
Right. So this particular item that's on the agenda today does not go to planning commission. It will just be a building permit approval. So the DRC just reviews it for design input.
I see, okay. I don't believe they had a DRC when I was city
No.
treasurer.
No, it's somewhat new.
There we go. Success.
Great,
Awesome.
there you are.
I know Phil is trying to get in too. He's having some technical difficulties as well.
Can you hear
This
me?
is Dave again.
Well, hi,
I'm
Dwayne.
just going around and around in circles.
Good.
So I'm going to have to wing it on my input without the visual.
All those visuals on the phone last time.
So that was David Lowe that was speaking?
Yes, I believe so.
And I,
Sorry, Roberta. It's Heather Newsom.
Oh, hi, Heather. I didn't see you up there.
I'm not on Zoom. I had technical issues, so I'm on the call, but I have all of my file notes with me. So,
Okay, good
and I
enough.
reviewed our last session. So I'm gonna mute myself, but if you need to grab me, just holler.
Okay. So we're going to hold on until we have a quorum. I don't know whether Mark Darris is going to be here. I guess we do have a quorum now, so.
Annette, can you hear us and respond? Hmm.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, Annette.
Hey.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're a little bit echoey, but we can hear you.
I got my headset on, so hopefully it shouldn't be too echoey.
Are you muted? Or your computer microphone? I don't know how that works. You're very echoey.
Annette, this is Luke.
Hi.
You have your audio connected both to the Zoom meeting and the phone call. So go ahead and pick one. Either hang up your phone or mute your Zoom microphone.
Okay, how do I mute my Zoom microphone?
On the Zoom screen, there will be a big microphone. Click it and it'll mute it.
There, can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Yep, that's better.
Much better.
We were
Gotcha.
wondering if we
Okay.
were expecting Mark to log on.
Yes, he's going to call in, yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll wait. And are we expecting Phil?
We are, as far as I know. Oh, I see him coming.
It looks like Mark is trying to join. I'm not sure if he's having difficulty. He's kind of stuck on joining, but it looks like he's attempting.
Okay.
So Kelly, did we get your technical difficulties done and we can see the report on screen or not?
I think so. I'm going to share it from a different screen, which is why I'm kind of logged on twice. But I think that should work.
Here I am.
There you are.
He's time traveling.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's give it one more minute and see if we can get Mark on. Is the applicant online as well?
Yeah, this is John Ferguson.
Okay, very good. Hold tight. We're almost there.
Should my picture be up there as well? So it should. So does it look like my video is turned off?
Looks like it to me.
So is my video turned off? No one can see my video. Is that right?
Yes,
Oh,
who is
sorry.
this?
There we go.
There you are. You are, David.
Okay. If you guys are brave enough to do it, I guess I should be.
Not so hard.
Well, Phil and I cheat with our backgrounds a little bit, so you don't see our messy houses, but.
I know that's not fair.
They're very cool.
Yeah, that is really neat.
I love those round windows in the building.
Yeah, I don't get to work up on that floor, so this is the closest I'll get to sitting in front of one.
Mark's just texting me and says, are we getting started or did I do something wrong? I checked in at 1:55. Should I just tell him to try to call that number?
It seems
Have him
like
try to rejoin the Zoom meeting. His is stuck in joining right now for some reason. I can't do anything with his account. So have him close Zoom and try to reconnect.
Okay, I'll text him back. Close Zoom and try to reconnect. I do remember that he kind of had connection issues from where he lives.
Luke, in your opinion, is this hung up because of the connection? We should just have him phone in.
Yeah, if he's unable to connect, a phone call will be the next best thing.
Okay, Annette, can you just go ahead and text him and tell him to call in and we'll wait for his call?
Sure, I'll do that right now.
Great, thank you.
There we go.
Mark, are you with us?
Switch camera, switch to gallery view, leave, zoom.
Mark, can you hear us?
I did send him the message.
Okay.
Oh, maybe that's him.
Dwayne, are you frozen or are you still good? Dwayne looks frozen.
Oh dear.
Oh, you just aren't having the best luck. Oh, there he goes. He's unfrozen.
Oh.
Oh, good.
Can you hear us?
Who was frozen? Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, why? I didn't do anything, but good.
Either that or you sat very, very still and didn't hear us.
Well, do we have a quorum? We have 3.
Roberta, Mark just called in, so he is on, I assume. Mark, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here, and I've been waiting. That my computer says that the host. I'm waiting for the host to allow me in the meeting or to let me in, and
yeah,
that's why
I clicked on that right when you joined, and it hung. For some reason, it wouldn't let you into the Zoom meeting.
Huh. Okay. Well, sorry about that, everyone, for keeping you waiting. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, we're okay.
If you want
Mark.
to give it another try, Mark, this is Luke with the city. You can go ahead and try to reconnect to that Zoom meeting.
Okay.
If I see your name pop up, I'll
which I
try
did
to
the
allow
second
you.
time already, but let me try one more time. I'll get all the way out of the program here.
All right.
I haven't had trouble with Zoom. The last program that you guys used, I think it was the planning commission meeting. I had some serious issues with that. It kept freezing on me, but Zoom has usually worked for me. But give me just a second here.
Okay.
Okay, so join. Okay, I just entered. It says, please wait. The host will let you in soon. Okay, if you're not able to connect me, I guess I can just do this over the phone. But it says that I'm waiting for the host to connect me, or to let me in.
Yeah, and I don't see you in the meeting at all, Mark. It's not coming up as an option for. I don't see your account at all.
Wait, I see a person. Hold on, because I'm the host now too.
Oh, you're the host now.
I'm the host now. Oops.
So who was that was not letting me get in?
That's Kelly. Sorry, Mark.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
All right, looks like you're connecting to audio. Hopefully this will be good.
Let's see, I'm looking for my picture. Oh, there we are.
So Mark, go ahead and hang up the phone call.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Now audio is working through Zoom.
Okay. Okay, now I'm not sure why my picture's not up there, but
Well, we can do it without it.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your patience, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting of the DRC to order. Annette, could you do a roll call for us, please?
Yes, Committee Member Anderson,
Here.
Committee Member Darris,
Here.
Committee Member Newsom,
Here.
Committee Member Baranek,
Here.
Chairperson Fonte,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. And I'd like to show that we have staff members, Kelly Gleason and Phil Dunsmore here as well. And John Ferguson, the applicant, is here, I believe, and David Graham. Is that correct?
Yeah, we also have Matt Sabula, the architect of the project, on the line, I believe.
What was the name again?
Matt Sabula.
Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead with the orders of our business. Can I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I move to approve.
I'll second. Heather Newsom.
Okay, very good. Motion by Dwayne Anderson, second by Heather Newsom. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none opposed, approval of the agenda is passed. The time is now for public comment. Luke, do we have any public comment on any item that is not before the DRC today?
I don't know. You'll have to ask, just
Yeah,
put out a general question. I'm not sure what the caller is called about.
Yeah, I believe that all of the callers are for the Santa Isabel project.
Okay, let's leave them where they are then, and we'll go ahead and close public comment and go to the consent calendar, which is approval of the draft minutes of March 25th, 2020. Does anybody on the committee have any changes or amendments to the minutes, which is what it is?
No.
No.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
I move that we approve.
I'll second.
Okay, I believe that was Heather Newsom for the motion, and I think it's Dwayne Anderson for the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Seeing none, we'll pass it unanimously. Our first item of business and only today is the staff report for a multifamily development at 7298 Santa Isabel. Kelly, are you taking the lead on this?
Yes, I am. Let me see if that comes up for everybody.
Oh, there it is.
Can you see that?
I can see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it wants to share it in presentation mode, so we'll just go through like this. So the project that we're looking at today is a project that we saw a few weeks ago. It's a multifamily project on Santa Isabel. They've made some revisions based on our recommendations. Hold on, because I'm not able to advance slides. Let me do this. So the project is located on Santa Isabel Avenue. It's kind of behind the shopping center along El Camino Real. It's in a high density multifamily area. So last time we met, the DRC gave the direction to the applicant to modify the site design a little bit, to check in with the trash company. And so they've taken that into consideration. They have eliminated 1 unit, so it is now a 10-unit multifamily project instead of 11 units. This allowed a little bit more wiggle room between the units and a little bit more room for those parking spaces. It also allowed the addition of an entryway that's still sort of tucked to the rear of the unit, but that does face the common driveway. The units that are facing Santa Isabel frontage do not have that feature. They are still facing Santa Isabel. And they have provided a letter from Waste Alternatives that the site can be served down the common driveway. So the trash truck, based on that letter, will pull into the common driveway, have couple of bins on one side, pick them up, and then back out of the driveway. So this is the revised site design. You can see the added entry features there that are highlighted. They stick out a little bit from the unit and they kind of provide a little extra design feature. 3 guest parking spaces remain, even though they dropped 1 unit, they are retaining 3 guest parking spaces. And then they've better designed the common open space area and made that a little bit larger. The common open space area does act also as the detention basin, and then we have seen that in previous projects before. I did want to note on their site plan, again, this is sort of a preliminary level review and not complete construction documents. So they haven't shown the Santa Isabel frontage being widened and pushed back like it is required to do as part of their building permits. But that will be done as part of their building permits, and we should be able to squeeze out another couple of on-street parking spaces along that frontage as well. And then included in this slide is just a little bit of a site section. So you can see how the site slopes somewhat significantly, especially when you're talking about leveling for pads and access and things like that. And so that's why they're designed sort of as duplex units, as they can step down the site with that topography. This is the architecture. It's relatively unchanged from previously. There weren't too many comments about that. The bottom right-hand picture does show that added entry feature that's added to the side of the buildings that has sort of a front door and a little bit extra prominence. Again, these are just kind of the flat elevations, and you can see on the top right-hand picture that additional entry feature that pops out to the side. These are the floor plans of the units. So again, you can see that entry feature, which provides kind of a hallway and an entry space before you get to that lower floor bedroom. The 1-car carport and then the 1-car garage continue to remain as part of the project as it was previously designed. So the review items today are the revised site design concept and the architectural concept. And if you have any comments on the project design, I know the applicant and his architect is available, and then there are a few people from the neighborhood who would like to speak as well.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Are there any questions for Kelly regarding the changes among the DRC members?
Not for me.
Mark? We can't hear you, Mark.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Heather.
Kelly, is all of the
I'm sorry, I had myself on mute. Shit.
Okay, we're doing, Mark, you're on hold for just a moment. We're doing,
Okay.
Heather Newsom has a question.
Kelly, is all of the changes that we recommended at the last meeting all been adhered to?
Yes, they have been. I know there was some discussion about having a bedroom on the lower floor, but our code doesn't really regulate that, and so we can't really force any changes in that direction. There was also some comments about perhaps not having the covered parking requirement. But again, this is just building permits. They're not seeking entitlement, and so they don't really have an avenue to request that exception. But staff is looking at that on a larger level for multifamily projects as we move forward.
Okay, and I saw all of the other requirements highlighted and designated as the additional changes. Thank you.
Okay, Mark, do you have some comments?
Yeah, I just had a question. Sorry, I had myself on mute and didn't realize it, so I was talking away. Nobody could hear me. Kelly, you mentioned that Waste Management reviewed it, but I didn't hear a determination on their feeling about a single dumpster versus everybody having a series of garbage cans. I'm just wondering where we're at with that.
Yeah, I don't know that they have opinions necessarily related to dumpsters versus bins. They did say that they would be able to serve the project down the driveway, which would minimize bins along the street. I would say that I wouldn't assume that no bins would be on the street. The units that are facing Santa Isabel and right up there may choose to put their bins along Santa Isabel for trash day. But they did say that they would accommodate trash pickup for individual bins along the driveway. I think it's sometimes important to note too that on multifamily projects, a lot of times residents don't do a green waste bin because it's all common open space that's maintained by, landscape professionals. And so there really are just usually the 2 bins per unit that they would be accommodating.
Have they expressed a difference in whether it's individual bins or garbage, a common garbage dumpster?
The trash company doesn't usually have a preference. They will usually service whatever the applicant sort of desires, providing that they can access the site.
Okay, I know this was discussed at the last meeting, and I feel like on garbage day, even if it's 2 bins per unit, that's you have to guarantee that no cars are going to be on the street. Now, how are you going to do that? Anyhow, I'll let that be at that. We can discuss it further if needed.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Emily, did you have any questions?
Maybe a minor one, I hope. About the fencing, I see that there's, fencing noted between the units. There isn't a whole lot of detail on what that is. I'm assuming if we do end up with individual bins, that the residents would want to keep the bins behind the fences. Do we have any idea how tall that fence is going to be and whether it would or could hide the bins from view just for, aesthetics?
Sure, and I know the applicant can chime in when it's open for public comment as well. We don't have a lot of detail on that. So the previous design did not have fencing and rear yards because it just kind of didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Added in that additional entry feature, they saw an opportunity to add some fencing and have some private yard space for each of the residents. I know that the previous design included space within the garage for the trash bins. And I still think that that's the case. I know there are certain units that won't have readily accessible fenced in rear yard areas that will need to keep their bins in the units.
Okay.
But it certainly could be an option. And you could add any conditions for fencing as you see fit as well.
I certainly like the addition of the fencing. If the units are planned to have, if they end up with individual bins, they plan for those bins to be in the garages. I think that's fine. I think my concern with carports sometimes is just that the bins end up, out in the carports, and that's just not always a good look. So
I think we can, sure. We can add a condition that the bins not be stored in carports and be stored, somewhere not visible. So whether that they choose to be behind the fence, if they can access that, or in the garage, we can certainly do that.
I think that'd be great. I think it's a safety, can be kind of considered a safety thing too.
Okay, thank you, Emily. And Dwayne, did you have any questions? Dwayne?
Sorry, I'm muted. No, I'm fine. I don't have any questions.
Okay. And this is my question. This is regarding having access to the garage from the lower floor. I looked at the site plans and wondered if you could pull it up. It looks like the only place to do it was through the bathroom, and that's not going to work. Am I reading the plans right?
Sure, we can certainly hear from the architect. There's no pedestrian access from the living portion of the house into the garage.
Okay, and is there an entrance from the lower portion of the house to the carport?
No.
Okay. All right. Sorry, my phone just rang. Okay, sorry for the delay. Okay, let's go ahead and have the applicant speak. That would be Mr. John Ferguson, followed by the architect, Matt. Go ahead, John. Tell us about the changes in your project.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm just on voice only, obviously. But, yeah, we appreciated the feedback from last time. I think we tried to incorporate that, and I think it's actually made the project better. Getting rid of that unit gave us some elbow room and allowed for a little more separation. In regards to that last question, by orienting those front doors towards the carport, it's true you don't have an entrance from the carport into the unit, but we've kind of addressed that issue of having to walk down the pathway and going in the rear. So that door is actually in pretty close proximity to the carport there. I don't know what else to say. I did ask, we had a debate or conversation with the trash company about the bins. It almost sounded like they prefer individual cans just because, you know, broken glass and things accumulate near those dumpsters sometimes and things like that. So they had no concerns at all about their ability to service the individual bins. So I don't know what else to say.
Could you tell us about the fencing that's proposed?
I think we were thinking about, you know, a dog-eared 6-foot kind of typical fence detail. You know, willing to do something more elaborate if that would be preferred. You know, privacy fence, like, you know, put your cans back there or whatever other items you want to store maybe out of public view.
Yeah, I think the fence is a great idea. I just wondered, Emily had a question about putting trash cans behind the fence so that they didn't sit in the carport. Is that a possibility that there would be a gate and they could put their trash cans back behind the fence?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think you'd want a gate there just to give you the ability to get around.
And a question about the washer and dryer. I assume that each of the units will be plumbed for a washer and dryer. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're actually going to, we're going to install them, and that's going to be part of the unit, part of the appliance package that comes with each unit. It's a stackable unit in a closet area. So they'll, you know, I'm not looking for them to provide their own because, you know, they're kind of quirky. Those stackable ones are hard. It'd just be easier for me to supply them and install them and have them be part of the rental agreement.
Okay.
So if you can see on the screen, I believe this is the closet. If you can see the cursor moving, that will be the washer dryer closet.
Got it. Okay. I thought that was a closet, but not a washer and dryer. Thank you, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does the DRC have any other questions for John?
Oh, I don't.
Okay, I'm seeing no heads or hands going up. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Matt, the architect, if you would, please.
Yeah, hi, this is Matt. I think John pretty much answered everything. One other comment I think was about a people door from the one-car garage into the carport. I mean, we could possibly put a door somewhere around there. There is some room there. That might be a good idea. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, Matt. Thank you. I don't think it's too much of a concern probably for the DRC. It was more the garage, that you have to open up the garage door to go in. And if you had something like a washer and dryer in the garage, it would have made a difference. But at least from my perspective, I don't see it as being a big deal either way.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering about that. Otherwise, I think John pretty much, he answered your questions, I think, pretty much. So that's all I have to say.
Any questions for the architect from the DRC? Okay. Dwayne, did I see your hand?
No, I was deciding if I was going to mute or unmute, but no. Nope, I'm good.
Okay, Mark, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Emily?
No, thank you.
All right, Heather?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay, very good. I'll just pop in here with one little comment. Do you have any idea what that entry door will look like? That we have several different ones. It looks different on some of the pictures, and I couldn't tell whether they're going to be what looks like to me as having a split pane, a crosshatch window, or other. I just want to make sure. Yeah, what I'm looking for is a door that's secure, and one with a screen that goes up, and there's a screen in the bottom, like some doors have. The picture at the bottom right of our screen looks like a sliding window with a screen at the bottom, which isn't very secure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fixed glass windows and it, you know, contemporary style, and nothing openable. So, you know, a wood door of some kind.
Okay.
But yeah, no openable windows on there, on the door.
Just wanted to make sure. You couldn't tell from our drawings here.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and open this up to public comment. Luke, if you could patch those in for us, please.
So I know we have David Graham and David Lowe.
Hey, David, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes,
It
I am.
says Janice is my wife.
So we,
Roberta, also, I am told that I do need to read these letters into the record for their public comment as well, whenever you'd like me to.
Okay, let's wait for the live comments first, and then we'll read them in. Okay, Annette?
Sounds good.
All right, David, if you could go ahead, that'd be perfect.
they're both Davids, so maybe.
Let's do David Lowe first.
Okay.
Hi, this is David Lowe here. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
can.
Okay, hi. My name is Dave Lowe. I live across. Live there. I own the apartment complex directly across the street. I've owned it for 30 years, and it looks like a great, beautiful. Kudos to the architect. It's wonderful. It looks like it could be a nice to the neighborhood, except parking. Oh my gosh, parking is so tight in that area. I did hear earlier in this meeting some reference that they possibly would condition making the street parking usable. I would hope that that would be firm in ink, that would the parking, but still, even having said that, we're still badly underparked in the area. The parking in that area is very tight, and I just, from being a landlord for many years, and just people collect junk and they fill their garage. So I find it very difficult to believe that we could actually count on the garages being used as parking spot places. And another concern I have with the floor plan is, it just, looking at the floor plan, it just basically says to me, convert to 2 units. It doesn't look like it would take much trouble at all to make that garage into a kitchen, living area, and the bedroom downstairs. So instead of 10 units, we'd be looking at 20 units across the street, and no improvement on the parking. So those are really kind of a concern to me. I understand that they want to put that many units in, and I have no problem with that, but maybe the whole design should be more of a row type things, and putting the common garages and putting the common walls tighter together. Because it just doesn't, it looks like a beautiful project, but in the wrong neighborhood. That's pretty much, and I just don't see any improvement that we've got 3 parking places on the site instead of 2. I don't think it's a step in the right direction, but not nearly far enough. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lowe. Let's go ahead with David Graham.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say the letter that I sent out, apparently I sent out with imperfect information. I did not have all the information. I didn't realize that there were actually 2 parking spaces that came with each unit. And of course, if the road is redesigned anyway, so that there will also be parking along the road, that probably pretty much mitigates my concern about the parking. I do sort of agree with Dave Lowe anyway, and I would like to say, Mr. Lowe, you do a very nice job of maintaining your places. Thank you. I'm your neighbor across the street in the gray house with a camper. Yeah, we've been here 45 years in this house anyway. So we know this neighborhood well. We've been through a lot of changes. Most of them have been just fine. We have no problem with, we're not NIMBYs. We don't mind apartments being built along here or anything. We have good friends who are apartment dwellers and good friends who are home dwellers. We have no problem with that. See, I do, one of my main concerns has to do with lighting. I know the project right next door to this one anyway has some big round lights anyway out in the front that are on all night, I guess not all day anyway, but they're on all night. And so I really don't like having those lights shining in my face all night long. So I really hope that this project will have lights that are shielded, and probably even better than that would be lights that are motion sensor lights. That way, a person who's walking along the street or whatever, or walking along the project anyway, will have light, but it won't be on all the time. It won't be in their neighbors' faces. The trash pickup, I also, I'm concerned about. For one thing, it's going to be a horrible noise every, I guess it's Tuesday anyway, when the trash truck comes down between those apartments, because there's going to be a lot of reverberation off of the walls of those units. And so it's going to be a horrible noise for all those people that are living in those units to have those trash trucks going down there. It's bad enough for us, and we live back off the street a ways. But I do understand, if they will agree to go down the street and pick up those trash cans, I guess I would have to withdraw that objection as well. Then my final really, I don't know if you'd say objection, I would say concern anyway, is there's no place for the children. These are two unit places. There's going to be children, probably maybe teenagers with driver's licenses. They're going to add to the number of cars on the road. But it's just so sad. We have children in the condos right next door to us. They play in the driveway. It just seems that is so wrong. I mean, they should have some place to play with a little grassy area of some kind. Also, in the architectural drawing there, it shows a bumpy road going down the middle of the place there. I can tell you the kids are not going to enjoy that on their skateboards. I mean, it would be, they would like someplace smooth. They don't want a bumpy old street to go down on their skateboards. Otherwise, they're going to be going right along the pathways. So if you want to keep the kids out of the way of the walkers, I would suggest you make that a smooth path down there. Maybe there's some way you can make it a different color, just color it or something to make it look nice. But you're going to have kids in this unit, and it'd be nice if they had something like that at least. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Okay, Luke, are there any others?
We're on board with the parking, but he doesn't see the bigger problem as we do. But,
it is possible there's a caller. I don't have a name for them.
Okay, just go ahead and open them up.
All right, they're in.
Hello? Do we have someone who'd like to speak on the multifamily on Santa Isabel?
What you call there. All right, oh.
Hello?
It's possible it was a caller that is also connected to Zoom, so they might be in the meeting already.
Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak on this project if you're in the meeting? Okay. Well, I'm sorry if you're trying to get in, we cannot hear you. Luke, if you can get them in, we'll pause and wait, but if you think that there's no one there, we'll go ahead.
My guess is they've made their comment or they don't want to.
Okay, thank you, Luke. All right, as far as some of the comments, I'm going to bring this back to either the applicant, or if the applicant prefers, to the architect to talk about the few of the concerns we had in public comment.
Also, Chair, if we could have Annette read the other comments we had in letter format before we move on.
That's right. I'm sorry. Thank you, Phil, for reminding me. Go ahead, Annette, with the letters that we received, if you could read them into the record.
Sure. The first one was from David Lowe, and he says, I have owned the 6-unit apartment complex directly across the street from the proposed development for 30 years. At the last meeting, the DRC, there were many concerns brought up with parking being only one of many. This proposed project will have large negative impact on the quality of life in this neighborhood. It appears that the applicants have made minor modifications by adding 1 parking spot, and they've removed 1 unit. I feel that there is not enough proposed parking. The plans appear to have 3 guest parking, no increase of the very limited street parking, no handicap parking, and worst of all, the proposed project is counting on 10 families using their small garages as a parking on a daily basis. I believe this is totally unrealistic expectation. Many people use their garages for storage, leaving no room for their car, which is then parked on the street. To mitigate this, I suggest that the applicant be required at their expense to restore the on-street parking by relocating the curb gutter and sidewalk in front of the project. Also supply more on-site parking for their tenants that is not in the garages. This neighborhood has already had very limited parking with only 2 houses in the lot they wish to build a total of 10 units. In the last years, I have asked the guests of the houses across the street not to park in my tenants' parking spots on my lot many times. I can't imagine how bad it will get if this project is built as proposed. Thank you, David Lowe. That was the first letter we got. Then I can read the second letter.
Yes, please.
This is from David and Janice Graham. Dear Commissioners, we strongly oppose this project as currently proposed. Defective notice. The notice we received regarding the project is defective. The written project description states the construction of 11 residential units. The attached site plan shows 10 residential units. A second defect in the notice is that the description for individual items on the site plan are in very small font, smeared, and illegible. Inadequate parking. The project is being built in an area of Santa Isabel Avenue that has traffic calming red curb bulb outs on both sides of the avenue. The site plan for 10 units indicates that each unit will have on-site parking for only 1 vehicle. Due to the red curb bulb outs, there is no on-street parking available for this development. This is totally impractical as the majority of households have had more than 1 vehicle. A view of Santa Isabel after 6:00 p.m. on any weekday will show that even with the current standard on 2 on-site parking spaces per unit, street parking is already at 100% of capacity. Where will these new residents park their second and third vehicles? Trash pickup and ADA compliance. The site plan indicates that there is no centralized trash dumpster for this development. Each unit would have 3 waste bins, 1 trash, 2 recycle, and 3 green waste. The contract waste hauler waste management requires 24 inches between waste bins to allow for safe, efficient pickup. The 3 waste bins total 6 feet across. 10 times 6 is 60 feet across for just the waste bins. When the proper spacing for efficient pickup is added to the calculation, approximately 120 linear feet of space would be required for this development's waste pickup on a lot that is not that wide. Subtract the space for a driveway and the situation only becomes more alarming. This project must have a centralized dumpster for trash collection and pickup. A second major issue with the individual waste bins is their effect on handicapped access. Again, with the red curb bulb outs, the waste bins must be placed on the sidewalk to avoid being placed in an active traffic lane. After 3 separate trash trucks have come by on Thursdays, trash containers are lying all over the sidewalks, and individuals using wheelchairs or walkers are often blocked or forced into unsafe maneuvers in order to access the sidewalk. Current unsafe road conditions. A few years ago, a neighbor and friend, Jerry, was killed in a traffic accident on Santa Isabel Avenue. The accident occurred at the curve in the road behind the Vaughn Shopping Center. The curve in the road occurs at the same spot where delivery trucks enter and leave the Vaughn Shopping Center. As a truck approaches the shopping center and entry heading south, the road begins curving to the east, and as they are turning to the east, the trucks are expected to make a nearly 180-degree turn to the west to enter the shopping center. To make matters worse, this entrance is very constrained with a fire hydrant very close on the left and a major telephone junction box very close to the right. There is no room for error for these truckers. If they go over a curb with their 18-wheeler, they will destroy a fire hydrant or a major telephone junction box. Due to the truckers' familiarity with this entrance, they compensate by swerving right across the double yellow line on this blind curb. We believe our friend Jerry slammed into a tree to avoid a truck that had crossed the double yellow line. This is a daily hazard for all of us living on Santa Isabel, and until this gross hazard is corrected, no one else should be endangered by this residing on this unsafe street. The only practical solution is to relocate the fire hydrant and widen the truck entry. Not an inexpensive solution, but much cheaper than a human life. Where will the children play? There are no parks or playgrounds on or near Santa Isabel Avenue, and yet we have an abundance of developments suitable for families with children. This project should have a minimum of open space allocated as a children's play area. Respectfully, David and Janice Graham.
Thank you, Annette. And I'm
You're
ready
welcome.
to go ahead and call on a few people here to answer some of these questions. Let's go with Mr. Lowe's letter first. Could you talk, Phil? I'm going to have you respond to the changes on Santa Isabel, the curbside that's being corrected so there'll be more parking.
Yes, and Chair, if I can just start that discussion too, just a broader discussion about this project. And I don't know if it'll help or hurt our review here, but I want to remind everyone, just especially for the audience, that the purview of what we're looking at is essentially project design. This site, our general plan has determined years ago in 2002 that it is a high density multifamily site. And our recent housing element that was done several years ago required and mandated that this site be developed to a minimum density of multifamily, primarily because of its location right next to commercial and along a street that's designated for high density. So we do have some difficulties that have been brought up, especially about parking. Now, they're not asking for parking exceptions here. They comply with the city's parking standards. So for us to actually ask for more parking than required by our code for a designated high density multifamily project, regardless of the street situation, is a bit challenging. It's a bit outside of our purview. Now, if there's deficiencies in the way the parking is designed, that's one thing that we need to provide comments on. But I think a lot of the comments I'm hearing are about issues that we may not be able to take action on. They're greater, larger city issues that may not be the burden of this particular project. For example, our park ratio in our city. Yes, we do need more parks, and that this project does have to pay parks and recreation fees to provide for expanding those services. But if this project meets its on-site open space requirements, that is all they need to do. Let me answer your question though about the street. There are some curb and street frontage upgrades that can happen with this project to improve it and to improve the frontage. And that would be a requirement of going forward on this site. Maybe Kelly can provide some additional details on that. Lastly, just on the, if I can, just on the trash, the last thing too, I think there's some ways to look at, and what I've done with other projects in this nature is there's been not just a common dumpster, but some shared receptacles, even twice a week pickup. Obviously, this site's probably not going to have green waste for every person. If they don't have a yard, I don't see green waste being an issue. So it's probably going to be just recycling. But anyway, those are a few of my comments on this, just from a staff's perspective.
Did you want me to address the street, Roberta?
Yes, please.
So the street right now does bulb out in front of this project. In talking with David Lowe and a couple of the neighbors that were there when that project was constructed, it was due to the location of the existing houses on site and their driveway and the slope at which that driveway is at. They needed additional distance in order to meet slope for the existing driveway. So the street was bulbed out to give them a little bit extra space with the driveway. So since those existing houses are going away and this is a new project, it does require full frontage improvements for multifamily that is built out of the right of way. And so with this project, they will be required to move the curb, gutter, and sidewalk back to the full street frontage within the existing right of way and straighten that out. So there will be some additional on-street parking picked up as a result of those improvements. They are a city standard improvement, but we've also included them as a condition on the DRC action form to ensure that that's known that that's going to happen.
Kelly, I don't know whether you can do this, but can you just eyeball this and see how many cars could park at the curb approximately?
You know, in talking with our city engineer, I got to go back to the other screen. I'm trying to click on the wrong one. In talking to our city engineer, definitely there can be 2 cars gained out of there because it would be then an extension of the way that it is along the rest of Santa Isabel to the north. There may be opportunity to pick up some additional car lengths just because there would be a greater opportunity for spacing of cars. So it would be a minimum of 2, perhaps a little bit more.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. And this is a question raised, and perhaps you can help me, Kelly, or it might be Phil, regarding conversion of the garages to a second unit. Can you speak to that and what the law is stating on those units?
Yes, I think that's something that's brand new that we're still trying to wrap our heads around and determine how that can actually work. I know there is some allowance in a multifamily project that they can do some garage conversion for an ADU. Kelly, do you know if that would actually be allowed in this kind of a project?
So it's allowed on all multifamily projects up to, I think it's 25% of the units. It might be 20. They would come in for a permit. We would look to see, you know, in this situation, they're not applying for a map. It would remain under single ownership. And so the owner could potentially do 2, possibly 3, but I think when we write our code, we might round down in this situation garages into junior ADUs. And that would be allowed by state law.
Okay, so in order to answer this to Mr. Lowe's satisfaction, there is a possibility of 2, maybe 3 conversions possible?
It is possible under the state law as it is today. We haven't seen any court cases come through with that. We haven't seen any guidance on if there can be exceptions for that in certain situations, if the city could make findings to not allow that. It's just a sentence in the state law right now. But as of right now, conservatively, we would say it's possible that in the future it could come back. I will say that it wouldn't be more than 3, and they would be very small units because it is a single car garage. And so whether or not that would, with a double car garage, you can see, you know, a possible studio unit. These would be very small, and so may not be as economically viable.
Is there anything that we could do to prevent that from happening? This would be probably Phil.
I think what we need to do at this point, which we are doing as a city, is we're moving forward with creating our own accessory dwelling unit ordinance and getting that in compliance with state law, and that'll give us back the control we need. But there may not be anything that we can do other than proactively change our parking standards and our city regulations to respond to those kinds of issues, assuming that, you know, if each project could have 20% of the units get converted with these additional units, we need to be ready for that. But at this particular time, we're sort of in between because this just got adopted January 1. We haven't really interpreted it legally yet. No one's challenged it. No one's tried it. We haven't allowed any of these to happen yet. And we don't have our code written yet to prepare for it. So it's an interesting situation.
Okay, so legally, there's nothing we can do to prevent it at this point in time. So
Correct.
I think we need to acknowledge as a DRC, it's probably beyond the scope of where we are and what we can do.
Yeah.
However, parking is at a premium on Santa Ysabel, and we want to accommodate the parking on site for this particular project if possible. So moving on to Mr. Graham's questions, I wondered if we could have either Mr. Ferguson or Matt talk about the lighting that would be outdoors. He had mentioned that there was a glare across the street from lighting on other projects.
Yeah, this is Matt. All the lighting that we're planning on doing will be the lighting that shines down, you know, to protect the night sky and that type of thing. So we're not going to have any lighting that shines directly out toward the street. So that's our plan.
Okay, so no pole lamps in the back or in the front or anything that needs to be screened or shaded and down put? I'm not sure how to put this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like right now I'm thinking of some like can lights in the carport, and probably at the front door at the 2 front units we'll have lighting where the light will shine down, not straight out toward the street.
Okay.
And then I have there's an overhang over the garage doors, like a cantilever from the 2nd floor. So I'm thinking of some can lights that shine down on the garage door in that area. So basically no lights that shine straight out.
Okay, very good. And a question Mr. Graham raised was regarding storage, that his point was that most people put items in their garage for storage. I was wondering, is there going to be any pull down attic space that the applicants could use upstairs or someplace else that we could get some more storage for them?
We were gonna put some storage in the garage that's 4 feet off the floor. So basically it hangs from the ceiling up against the wall, so you could still park under it a little bit and have storage above. So it's basically like 4 feet down from the ceiling and like 2 feet deep, storage like shelves, cabinets in the garage.
Okay, is there a possibility of some kind of a hatch on the second floor to access an attic space or not?
Yeah, we could put some storage in the attic.
Okay, I think that's worth thinking about, DRC. Let's talk about that later. And then Mr. Graham had some questions regarding the bumpy road down the middle. It looks like pavers on what we're looking at. He thought this might be better used as concrete or some other substance so that there could be more play, skateboards, bicycles, scooters, whatever. Could you speak to that?
I think, you know, the pavers adds a nice look. So it seems like the way it looks is pretty important. And if kids want to play, they can go down in the common area in the back and play in that area, at the 3,000 square foot area that we have in the back. That was our thought.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to open this back up to the DRC and see if there's any changes or modifications that we want to make before we go ahead with this project.
Roberta, we just received a public comment that came via email with a map attached. If you'd like, I just emailed it to all of you. I don't know if you, if Kelly maybe wants, if you guys want me to read this. It's not very long. It's an email from a neighbor, and she's got a map attached that she'd like you to look at.
Okay, Kelly, is it possible to put it on screen?
I think so. I'm switching over now. Let me see. Can you see that?
Do you want me to start? You want me to start reading it, or?
Yes, please.
Okay. This is from Paula Gardner. It says, I live at 7282 Santa Isabel Avenue, Atascadero. My questions regarding the building project are as follows. Number 1, parking for 10 units shows a carport for each and a total of only 3 guest parking spaces. Plus, there is an additional unit, possibly the existing house on the porch of the lot, 11 units, figuring approximately 2 vehicles per unit, which equals 22 vehicles with 13 available spaces, leaves 9 vehicles with no parking allowances. Parking is a huge issue on this part of the street. Are they planning to have a walkway out the back of the lot and use the Adobe Plaza overflow parking lot behind my building? Question mark. Number 2, trash and recycling pickup. Where will all the units be placing their receptacles on trash day? Number 3, are the 10 units 1 or 2 stories? Thank you for your time, Paula Gardner.
Okay, thanks, Annette. Okay.
You're welcome.
I think we've got it. Maybe the applicant could tell us, is there proposed to be a walkway down to the Adobe Plaza?
No, not at this time.
Is there a fence
I don't know.
currently sound between the Adobe Plaza and the property? Do you know?
It's fenced with a chain link fence, 6 feet high.
Yeah, I know it's in pretty bad shape in some areas. I've seen it pulled back.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm, you know, we wouldn't be opposed to refencing all that in the same 6-foot dog-eared feeder type fence that we plan to use in between the units. In fact, I think we'd probably, you know, want to do that for privacy and aesthetics. But no, the plan is not to have a backdoor access to Adobe Plaza, and I don't know that parking there would be, you know, allowed without some kind of an easement or other arrangement with the owners.
No, I'm sure you're right. And I'm sure that the person, Paula Gardner, probably was not wanting that to happen. At least that
Right.
was the read.
I think she may have misunderstood a little bit what the footprint was with the garage and the carport, it sounded like.
Right, okay. My take on it as well. I think we're fine then. We've got that covered. All right, I'm going to close it and bring it back to the DRC. I think one of the things we need to talk about then is the inclusion of storage hatch, or perhaps you can tell me what this is the official term for this, Kelly, some attic storage would be included. DRC, are you in favor of that?
Well, I have a comment on that if I could, just looking at the building itself, and it's a very low pitched roof. There's not going to be a whole lot of headroom up there, and I'm pretty sure they're not exceeding a height limitation. If we steepen the pitch, then there would be adequate storage in the attic space. I mean, I think that's a great idea if you can provide it. Either maybe, you know, if you put a heel on the trusses, so it brings the roof up a little bit. But any way you can make more room up in the attic, I think is a great idea.
Okay, so Phil, is there any issue with putting that kind of a condition in place?
No.
Okay. DRC, are we in favor of that? I just see a head nod.
I'm good with that.
Go ahead.
Yes, as well.
Thank you. Mark, we've heard from you. Dwayne?
I mean, if it's definitely, you know, something that is usable, you know, in a purposeful way, I guess that makes sense. I hate to burden them with changing the design too much. I think the way they've designed that whole thing, the low pitch is part of the look, but Mark would know better than I whether or not that would change it markedly. So.
And our code does require a minimum of 100 cubic feet of storage per unit. So certainly maybe we can just encourage that they use the attic space or any space available to meet that requirement.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay.
My assumption is that they're not anywhere near encroaching on the height limitation, right? I think we would have like 35 feet or something, and I'm sure they're not anywhere near that. Is that true?
Yes, that's.
Height, the architect might be able to weigh in.
Okay, Matt, could you wait?
24
Yeah,
feet.
this is Matt. Yeah, we're not even close to the 35 feet. I think we're, I don't have that in front of me right now, but we're like 23 feet, I think, something like that.
That's kind
So
of
there
like
is room, definitely.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, the low pitch is kind of the style also. It's kind of that contemporary style.
Yeah. No.
Okay, thank you.
No, I understand that, and I think it looks nice. I think the buildings look nice the way you've done it. I just, you know, we're talking about storage in the attic space, and you have to have a minimum of 30 inches head clearance, and you have to put it in the center. Then, if you only have minimum, and then it's just not going to be very much. So if you make it steeper, then you have more opportunity. And yeah, I know it changes the, you know, the concept of what you're trying to go after, but I think attic storage is going to be very valuable in this case, and however you can accomplish. If you put a heel on the trusses, so you know, put a 2-foot heel on it somehow, that'll bring it up.
Yeah, we could stack it up a little bit like that,
Yeah.
and just design the truss so that there's room right at the ridge, you know, some decent room.
Exactly. Yeah. So you could still have the low pitch. It's just that it'll have a heel at the plate, and then you'll have room in the center of it. Then you have usable storage space. So anyway, otherwise, that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think the feeling for staff direction here is we'd like the staff to work with the applicant to include additional storage. And we'll let you come up with how you make it work. All right, let's talk about trash issues. It was raised by members that were in the neighborhood that this may be a problem, noisy, echoing, and so forth, if individual trash cans are in place for each unit. Does the DRC have any preference regarding individual units, or would they prefer a dumpster at the end of the parking area, let's say?
I'll chime in first then, I guess. I would prefer a dumpster just because I see this being a heavily parked area for whether it's this complex that's using up street parking or someplace else or whatever it is. But on trash day, those cars are going to have someplace else to go. And if they're parked in the street, they won't. And it's just going to be an issue with all the dumpsters, all the trash cans that are on the street. So I think a single dumpster is going to be the best and most optimal idea.
Okay, Dwayne, any thoughts?
On the trash? Yeah, I'm happy. I think I'm just happy with that, whatever works out most efficiently for the applicant and for the city. You know, I see both situations, and I'm not sure. You know, if you have a truck going down and doing a dumpster, it's pretty loud also. So no matter what, it's going to be a lot of clanging. So I think it's part of the price we pay living in a city.
Okay, so no real opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead. Heather Newsom, any thoughts on dumpster versus trash cans?
I have no preference either way, whatever is more effective or functional for them.
Okay, Emily, any thoughts?
No, I'm also okay with, you know, the architect and owner making that decision. I think my concern with the bins is only that there would be a lot, and it would be nice if they weren't taking up valuable storage space in the carport and or, you know, left out to be an eyesore. So if they can figure that out, I'm okay with that, or a dumpster.
Okay. So it sounds like we have kind of a mixed bag. I'm going to weigh in for the dumpster. So we've got pretty split here, but I think we want to give as much autonomy to the owner of the property to make this the best project that he feels he can make it. So let's have him work with staff to decide whether a dumpster or individual trash cans are put in place. Okay, moving on to fencing. We had talked about a gate being put in so that people could put their trash bins, if they are having trash bins, behind the fence. And also the applicant's architect had stated that perhaps they would do dog-eared fencing down at the bottom of this where it hits Adobe Plaza. So there's no temptation to use this as a walking path and parking down in that area. Is there any thoughts on the fencing? Let's go with Emily first.
I'll leave it to the architect and owner to come up with a design that they think fits the project. I just would hope that it would be tall enough to hide the bins. I definitely think that the fence at the rear of the project at its boundary with Adobe Plaza should be secure. I think that if that necessitates a new fence, I think I would recommend that.
Okay, Dwayne, what do you think?
Yeah, the bottom fence, you know, I as soon as we start talking about it, I was thinking that there's a security issue, especially when that one mentioned the gate. I'm thinking, I'm not sure the police would be real thrilled with a passageway there because, you know, you're going after somebody on one side, he just goes through and he's on another street. So that a secure fence back there probably is a good idea. If a dog ear fence is sturdy enough, that's fine. But sometimes if you put a top cap on it, or you know, like we discussed in some other projects, that definitely firms it up a bit. So that's pretty much how I see that one. Okay,
Mark, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I'll keep it simple and concur with them and Dwayne on this one. I think a secure fence, if there's going to be individual bins, they need to be able to be put behind something. If this is the fence that's going to happen, that's great. But otherwise, I don't have any major concerns about it. An attractive fence, I think, is probably my most concern.
Okay, and when you say attractive, are you saying not chain link, something more solid?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, I don't think chain link would be appropriate. I think that since we're in at least a residential, a dog-eared or something a little bit fancy in that respect, I think would fit. I mean, you want to complement this project, I think, with something at least with some appeal.
Okay, thank you. And Heather Newsom?
I agree. It needs to have a curb appeal. I'm good with the applicant working with city staff and coming up with something that's appropriate for this area.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the consensus of the DRC is we'd like a secure fence at the back property line, and we'd like a fence for the front so that they can put their bins behind them. And we'd like the fence to be a solid fence that's attractive and adds to the look of the project. Okay, is there anything else that we'd like to address? I think this is all the points that staff has given us. Any concerns that the DRC has? Yes, Dwayne.
So I just want to bring a couple things up for just to maybe bounce around. So guest parking, are there actual just solely city standards as to who can use that guest parking? Because I have seen units where there's guest parking and people basically, they park a car there that not really a guest car, but they kind of, flout the rules by moving it just every once in a while so that it's okay, and it kind of straps the people in the complex because they can't access it anymore. And so I don't know if that's something that just purely a policing action, or is that something that the owners and the managers can police more effectively, because that can be a real issue in some places if people decide to abuse that particular aspect of a thing. And that leads to a question. So is there an on-site manager, so that these things can be monitored? I don't know if that's something they're planning for. What else did I have here in my notes? I think that's pretty much it. So it's kind of back to the parking issue a little bit, just like, oh, I know, one more thing. So a lot of comments are made about the garages being essentially used as storage units. And once again, I know that we had an issue with this on I can't remember the name of it's a Zappa's project over there by Paloma Park. And he had that issue with single car garages and people starting to not use them. And they had an on-site manager, so basically they put it in their leases. You had to use them. You cannot fill them up and then park someplace else. So that I don't know if that's an option to add into requirements or anything like that. So those are just some thoughts.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, from Luke, I've just heard that there's one more person I'd like to call in to public comment. I think I neglected to close public comment, so let's go ahead and have them speak. Luke, can you patch them in, please?
All right, yeah, I'm patching them in right now.
Hi, this is Paula Gardner. I live next door at 7282 to this complex. My big question is, it says there's 11 units. So does that include the house that's at the front currently, or is there going to be an additional unit other than just the 10? And my big question is, that means if you figure 2 cars per unit, approximate people living there, that is 22 vehicles. There are 13 available spaces, which are the 3 guest parking and the carports. So where are the other 9 vehicles going to park?
Okay, Paula, is that it? We're going to go ahead and answer your questions if you're done.
Well, yeah, the other part of it is there going to be would there be a gate going out so they could use the overflow of the Adobe parking lot? There is no parking on the streets except for there's 2 spaces in front of the unit I live in. Everything else is red down that side of the street, including in front of where the house is currently, that the units are going to be behind, I guess. And so also, I just wanted to know, I didn't hear, are they 1-story or 2-story?
Okay, Paula, we're going to answer all those questions now. I'll do my best. This is Roberta Fonzie. I'm the chair of the Design Review Committee. This is
all right. Thank you.
Yes, sure. This is going to be 10 units, not 11. They will be 2-story, and there will be a covered garage and a carport for each unit. So in other words, each unit has 2 spaces, so a total of 22 plus 3 guest parking units that will be on site for guests. And there will be some road improvements that'll be done in front of the actual site of the building, and this will add additional parking for those on the street. There will not be a gate between this and Adobe Plaza. No parking overflow, in other words, down there at the bottom.
So is the house going to be removed? Because it says 11 residential units on a multifamily site
Yes.
in the project description.
Right, the house is going to go.
Okay.
The original project that was submitted a couple weeks ago was 11. They removed one.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that correct, Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Kelly, did we miss anything for Paula Gardner?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you, Paula, for your input. We're going to let you go now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we've got it covered. Staff, are you clear in what we're recommending?
Yes.
And I think there was just one very small note that we may want to add, and this would be something I need to talk to John Ferguson, the applicant, and this was regarding some kind of signage or other way that we could preserve the guest parking for the guest that was raised by committee member Anderson.
Yeah, this is John. I haven't finalized any kind of verbiage, but I would think in the lease agreement, I mean, I don't want, cars parked in front of the garage doors, and, I think there really needs to be some parking discipline enforced. And I would write into the lease agreement, I like that idea about keeping the garage available for parking and not using it as storage. I don't know exactly, what kind of verbiage that takes or what the punishments are, but I mean that your vision is my vision on that. We don't want cars
and
strewn around the place.
And Mr. Anderson had asked if there was going to be an on-site manager living there.
I don't know the answer to that question quite yet.
Okay, and are you planning any signage for the vacant spots, the guest parking, such as guest parking only or some other verbiage?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if it makes sense to put a time limit, or maybe I could get with Kelly and see what some other projects around the city have done in order to, what kind of signage they might be using. But yeah, I'm fully on board with that. I don't want somebody parking their broken down car and, limping it to the spot next to it the day after or whatever.
Okay.
That's not the purpose of those spots. So.
Very good. And John, are you clear on what we're asking you to do? The changes that we've proposed regarding the storage, the fencing, and so forth?
Yes. Yeah, I'm on board with all that.
Very good. Okay, let's add, I'm going to let you go, John, and bring it back to Kelly. And I believe our intent, Kelly, is to have the applicant work with staff regarding signage for the guest parking and changes in the lease that might encourage them to use their garages for their car.
Sounds good.
Okay, am I missing anything, DRC? Okay, very good. I'm gonna just go ahead and close this out then and move on to DRC discussion items. Let's see. I believe any committee reports, comments, and items. Seeing no hands being raised, let's move on to the director's report.
Our next May meeting is actually canceled. We do not have an item ready for that meeting. Other community development projects continue to move forward as planned. That's it for now, unless you have any questions for me.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none?
Not for me.
Okay, I think we've got it. Thank you guys for your patience. This was a little bit disjointed meeting, but we got through it. Meeting adjourned.
We did. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So weird.